and you know it.
With a tear in my eye.
The cream of the crop.
Acknowledge me.
Episode 422 of Top Rope Nation. I'm your host tonight, Jesse Velasquez, joined side by side by Justin Joint. That's 3 J's in a row. How are we this evening?
Doing okay. Was just out. My son had a traveling baseball tryout tonight, and it is boiling hot outside. So that was a tedious 2 hours. And then I have a drink in the glass tonight, which actually I'll wait. You finish your introductions.
Absolutely. Dude, yesterday was brutal up here. I think it did hit 100. I might have gotten that way here. I'm assuming since you're a little further south, did you guys cross like 102, 103? Where were you guys at?
I don't know. I think the high today was, it was 97, but it's one of those where the temp is 97, but it feels like 10 degrees warmer. It sucks, man. Climate change is super fun.
Yeah, I can't imagine what he's going through on that baseball field. I always tell stories about how I love the game of baseball. I just dread summers, I think, for that reason, because we lived outside playing in tournaments with Gatorade and just every single thing that accompanies it. There's only 3 things I wanted to do during the summer: air conditioning, video games, play baseball. That was it. I was drained. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, if he does make that team, gosh, that's going to be some tough stuff.
I feel bad for the parents because it's like they're actually learning the specific skills of baseball. So it's a very tedious practice, learning all the intricacies. So the parents are boiling. All the kids are having fun. So,
oh man, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the lay of the land here in the upper Midwest. And before we ask Justin what's in the glass, let's salute Patreon.com/TopRopeNation. The finest people in the world.
Yes, sir.
So we have 200 bonus episodes, including King of the Ring 1998, which we recorded last Thursday, I believe, when all 3 of us decided gin and tonics were the thing. Oh, such a great episode, though. And I think the theme of the last almost 14 months is highlighting Mick Foley.
As it should be. Except for the show we're about to cover, Mick Foley should always be highlighted, especially when it's retrospective.
So again, patreon.com/TopRopeNation is where you can support us. I'm going to throw the Discord link in a little bit later. And if there was anything else that I wanted to touch on, Ryan is so much better than this, than I am here. And his youngest daughter's birthday, I know, is today. Happy 5th birthday, Gwen. So, gosh, those kids are growing up so fast.
I forgot to wish her a happy birthday, or wish her a happy birthday through Ryan. I don't contact directly with his little daughters.
Well, you have the kids that are the same age too. You don't live very far, so always ask those questions. All right, Justin, let us know what is in your glass this evening.
Okay, so you're gonna appreciate this one, I think. A few weekends ago, we had a booze on the deck with our neighbors, just sipping on drinks and chatting. And the wife of the neighbor is Mexican. And so we all went out to eat. On the way back, me and Caitlin, my wife, stopped at our local liquor store to find something to sip on. And I came across this. It is Agave Azul Ghost Spicy Reposado Tequila. It is, God, what is it? They said we add a pinch of ghost pepper on it. So it's got like this, you take a sip and it's got this immediate kick of heat with the tequila, and then it just kind of slowly goes away. But it's not too bad, man. I would recommend it. But knowing that this tequila has a bit of a kick to it, right before we started podcasting, I went into our garage to grab just a sparkling water to sip on because I know that can get a little hot. And while I was opening the cardboard slid into my, like, in between my finger and fingernail. Basically, I got this giant cardboard paper cut that hurts like a son of a bitch. So long story short, I have already done a shot of that tequila just to kind of numb the pain a little bit.
Jeez, I should be drinking with you right now just for that story alone. Yeah, I
do have my
love it.
sipper here.
Do love a great tequila, especially if it's clear. So, oh my gosh. Yeah, we got some questions. You got some people in the chat. Eric, good to see you. And yes, so nice. It does burn twice.
It does not. This one doesn't, anyways.
Okay. Any comparison from a heat perspective to 151?
Well, 151. That's just more the alcohol content, right?
It is, yes. I know Nas in one of his songs back in the 2000s said 151, one sip will make you flip.
Yeah, no, this is more of just like a flavor hot, not like a drinking gasoline or, Everclear or something like that. It actually has a pretty nice flavor to it. But it is awesome. When you take that initial sip, you can kind of just feel it in the back of your mouth. It just kind of slowly fades away. It's nice.
Very refreshing, I think, for an evening like this then.
Right?
Gives you a little bit of a kick there. NFL training camps kicked off, I believe, in the last handful of hours, so we're getting closer and closer to that. World Cup season just ended. I guess last question before we dive into the wrestling. Were you a fan of Spain winning the World Cup?
Yes, I was rooting for Argentina just because I'm a Messi fan, and I thought, even though I think the argument is long since over, I figured him winning a second World Cup would kind of put the final nail in the Messi or Ronaldo conversation. That didn't happen, but I think Messi is a far superior player. But no, I love the way that the Spain team plays. So they're just a joy to watch, and just kind of glad like France didn't win. So
yeah, I was thrilled that England beat them in the third place game.
Yeah.
Props.
Well, that was kind of a weird game.
Wasn't it ever? 3-0 right out of the gate, and then France storms back, and England puts a couple in late to close the show.
Actually, that was the night that I bought that bottle because we were at a local Mexican restaurant while that game was on. Then we came back to which, if you come visit, you got to come visit this Mexican restaurant because I told you the neighbor's wife is Mexican. And her mom is very Mexican. And this is the only place she's been to that she does not make fun of the food.
Oh, there you go. Then we know it's legit. So, okay. Well, I'll check Wrestle Dream or Full Gear Weekends, and I'll try to make a venture down there.
Let's do it.
Yeah. And by the way, this is kind of an on-air, off-air production real fast. I am going to do my damnedest to get to Chicago on that Friday night in September.
Ooh, sweet.
Can only celebrate I know how old you are, your birthday once.
It's so funny, the mind of a child, because my oldest, who normally goes to these shows with me, found out this weekend from somebody else. Oddly enough, some of Caitlin's family members who are like kind of hardcore WWE fans, and they got tickets to AEW instead of the WWE shows. But they also, unbeknownst to me, had told Kit that I'm going to the AEW show and he's not. And so he very sadly asked me about that last night. And I was like, oh, sorry, bud. It's a no kids trip. And he was just like, oh, okay.
That was nice. Good for him.
Yeah, I was relieved because, I kind of broke my heart to have to tell him that.
No kidding. That's a really good maturity level there. At the very end of this show, I mean, it's just going to be me saying, hey, about WWE SummerSlam for like 30 seconds because it's in my backyard practically. But AEW Redemption was last night in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Justin, grades like we always give for these shows.
This show gave us, in my opinion, two bangers, two like absolute, hovering right around the 4.5-star range matches. It gave us one other hovering right around the 4-star match rating. And the rest of it I thought was incredibly mediocre that made you really feel the length of the show. This was pretty easily the quote unquote worst AEW pay-per-view I have seen in a very long time. I will go, and again, I as all of you know, I don't watch WWE anymore. So I'm just grading these against all the other AEW pay-per-views. So I would go a C.
Okay, I feel so much better about my grade. This is good. I'm going B minus. I think the weight of this is on, a match we're going to talk about later. There was one match I thought was absolutely outstanding. I rewatched it just before we got on the air. And then the rest was there. There were a couple of matches I felt that overachieved. One that I enjoyed way more than I thought I was going to. We'll definitely talk about that later. Let's start, though. Go ahead.
Just one last thing. And I just want to add that, I'm giving this show a C, even though it had, again, 2 matches hovering around 4.5, one match hovering around 4. And they did that without MJF, Swerve, Darby, Hangman, Tony Storm, Mercedes, Brody, Joe, Ricochet, FTR, Briscoe, Statlander, the Birds, the Divine Dominion, Takeshita, and Okada. I mean, that all those guys are like A+ players, so it's like, that's pretty impressive. The depth of this roster is quite insane.
And this was my point, I think, for arguing against this pay-per-view even being on the air in the first place, was that a lot of this stuff was just rushed, I felt. And there was really one match, possibly 2, that you could apply the Redemption name to. So, not just saying there's a couple of people that just completely outkicked their coverage, but I think maybe, let's get into Kenny Omega and Kevin Knight here right now, but I'd even go lower than that almost. Well, yeah, I'd almost go D- F, Tim, if it was WWE.
No, if a WWE match or WWE PLE, if you will, if that had even one match that could even kind of approach 5 stars, that would be an A+ show.
Pretty close, because there's only 5 matches these days.
An AEW pay-per-view had, in my opinion, a borderline 5-star match, and I gave it a C.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we're going to get into right now and give you some rationale for the reasons for our grades. Let's touch on it right away. Kenny Omega, Kevin Knight. So I know you have been predicting this for 6 months at least. You were thinking that Kevin Knight would maybe get that all-out main event.
Yep.
Get that slot as either the champion going in or just that up-and-comer who's like, hey, my time right now is to shine. They're putting this in the middle of the main event in Canada, in between Forbidden Door and All In. And the match ended up going 25 minutes. That's another problem, I think, on this night, was a lot of these matches overstayed their welcome. But Kenny Omega retains. And we'll get into the post-match angle a little bit later. Thoughts overall on the chemistry and the match flow as a whole?
This is the match I was referring to that I thought was a borderline 5-star match. This is the best Kenny Omega match I've seen in quite a while. And to me, it was truly, we've been talking about Kevin Knight for a long time, but this really felt like his coming out party, being in the main event of a pay-per-view and truly looking the part. And going back to Kenny Omega, I thought part of this is just the character he's playing right now, heading into All In, where he probably needs to lean a little bit more heel. But I saw a real edge from Kenny Omega. He was laying his shit in, if you will, like never before, in my opinion. Not never before, but like I said, in a very long time. He felt like world champion Kenny Omega to me tonight for the first time in a very long time. I thought these two had tremendous chemistry, And just kudos to Tony Khan for continuously giving these up and comers a chance to shine in big main events. Not you, Jack Perry, but for the most part, his hit rate is incredible. And Kevin Knight, he's a dude. He is a all caps dude, and I'm going to say in the next year and a half he's going to be world champion.
Ooh, he has, and it shows in his moveset. He has some Rob Van Dam to him. I think he showed even more of that last night. I think with a couple of the spots where Kenny Omega hit the V trigger on him and he folded like an accordion, looking like Gumby. Right then and there, I'm like, that's RVD. The coast to coast, which is what the Van Terminator, that was the basis of it all. Rob Van Dam. The frog splash, adding his own little twist.
Yeah.
Rob Van Dam. I think he's got a little bit of that charisma factor too.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, where Rob is a little bit different. He just comes across as cool. Kevin kind of has that same vibe. So, yes, the two had chemistry. There were spots in there that I really enjoyed. And I think Kenny Omega in doses, which is what we're about to get from him in this world title reign, is absolutely best for not just the audience, but for his career too. So he can do this for, of course, All In. I think he's going to be ready and raring to go. There's no rust. He's going to turn it up a notch.
I told you right before we came on, because you had said you had just recently rewatched two of the matches, and that this is the match I need to rewatch because, again, I felt a lot of this card was very mediocre, and the pay-per-views are fucking long, and I was tired by the time this match came along. But I thought they worked a main event style that I wasn't sure Kevin Knight could do, and I just thought he performed beautifully. And by beautifully, I mean like in a professional wrestling sense where, everything was hard hitting, but made sense. Yeah, I just can't say enough about it. Like I'm not going to give star ratings until I can watch some of this stuff again, but man, this was the highlight of the show for me.
They took a bit more time to sell the larger spots too, which is super important. And I think that's exactly what you're alluding to. Mm-hmm. So Omega does retain. The big part was the fallout angle that lasted a while. I didn't realize that was going to happen with the Death Riders. And we'll probably tie that in. I think we'll go to the tag match next because it ties into this story pretty beautifully. But the Death Riders make their way out to the ring and start to beat up Kenny Omega. And Jon Moxley's going to put the final nail in the coffin. Out comes Will Ospreay, who's, of course, going to be opposing Omega in Wembley. He stops him from doing any sort of damage to him. And he's just having this confliction with character. So all of this so far makes sense. Now, the big part is Will and John go back and forth. And Will finally just unleashes this huge forearm after Moxley, for a couple minutes, had a bag very similar to the suffocation bag that they used on Bryan Danielson back in September of 24. And he said, well, if I'm not going to do it, you're going to do it. So it's very similar to the interview that Renee had with Will. John interrupted and just said, if you're not going to pull the trigger, I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. So pretty much giving him one more final chance. Will says, nope. Lays the wood to him. The rest of the Death Riders try to come in. Ospreay fights him off. And then we get this like 2.5, 3 minute embrace with Ospreay and Omega. Thoughts on the execution of it all?
In the moment, watching last night, I wasn't super feeling it. Like I was almost kind of expecting something bigger to happen just because, as you alluded, it went on for quite a while. But as I've sat with it throughout today and thinking about it, it's perfect. I mean, it makes complete sense with everybody's characters. You're going to All In where Ospreay is going to be a huge babyface. And I think Omega needs to lean in to the heel aspect of his character to go into that match. The I guess I'll wait to talk about the Ospreay part of it until we talk about the Bucks match, but everything made sense to me, and it's all kind of coming together. This, AEW doesn't tell stories. This is long-term storytelling that you really have to pay attention to the intricacies of what they're doing. And so, yeah, like I said, the more I've thought about it, I can't think of a better way to get to a babyface first babyface main event at your biggest show of the year. So yeah, it worked on me eventually. So like it was good, but it's also, it's that pay-per-view's too long and I was tired by 11 o'clock.
This one went 4 hours and 48 minutes, I believe. So even with the 1 hour drawback, they still went close to 5 hours on a pay-per-view that had no right going that long. Reserve that for All In. That's exactly what you want to do in these types of scenarios. So the big part was Omega and Ospreay. They hug it out at the end. They both climb the ropes. In callback to Kenny Omega becoming the leader of the Bullet Club and kicking AJ Styles out of the group. Well, Ospreay, AJ Styles with that synchro there. Omega hits the one-winged angel as Ospreay is posing from the top rope, which is, again, exactly what Omega did to Styles about a little over 10 years ago today. The Bucks are at ringside looking a little bit confused. They all hit their pose, and we go off the air. So, yes, Kenny is going to have to lean a little bit heel here. Does there really need to be that heel versus face dynamic, even though we know Will's going to be the shining baby face in his home country? Because Omega is definitely beloved by a lot of the faithful.
I think it helps a little bit. It helps the story a little bit. They're not big enough stars that you can do, we're not going to get Limp Bizkit playing over a montage of, The Rock and Austin going into WrestleMania 17. But that's kind of the vibe I was getting from it. And I'm pro them leaning into Omega's got that killer instinct back just because we've gone so much these last few years that, with his health status and winning and losing and the diverticulitis and, will he, won't lead, that I think that's a big reason why I like the Edge so much and him getting that one-winged angel and the pose to finish the show. It doesn't mean I think there's any chance he's going to win at All In, but that's also not the point.
Yeah, I think that's what, going back to the Omega Knight match, took it down a little small peg for me. It was just that the outcome was in doubt. But here, Eric, valid point as well.
Yes, I mean, that's exactly it. Yep.
Not full heel. And that the whole one-winged angel was a receipt for Kenny spending months warning Will and then even considering putting the bag on his head, just kind of protect himself in that aspect. And no. Yeah. So, I mean, we're definitely going to get a huge fallout here Wednesday night with Will Ospreay and the Death Riders, specifically Jon Moxley. But let's tie it in. You had Ospreay and Moxley in the second match of the show face the Young Bucks. There's some history with all these men. The Bucks lost their EVP status to Ospreay and Swerve last year. The Young Bucks wrestled Moxley and Eddie Kingston in 2020, one of my favorite tag matches I've seen in this promotion's history as well, from Double or Nothing. The Bucks end up getting the win, which didn't surprise me much. I think it was just kind of the way that they did. And Ospreay, again, kind of not necessarily feigning weakness, but just showing either sympathy or empathy for the Bucks, especially with that collision and how that was sold with Ospreay and Nick Jackson headbutting each other in the first 2 minutes of the match. Did you like the construction here?
I loved it. I am not always the biggest fan of Bucks matches, but the way they incorporated the story they've been telling into this match that later on went into the main event, I thought was pitch perfect. The story of Ospreay not willing to quote unquote pull the trigger on, it was Nick, right? Nick was the one who's with the concussion, quote unquote. I like it because the story has been that he needs his killer instinct. And if he's going to get the world title, that's what the Death Riders have been helping him with. and you've seen him leaning into matches, especially the spots where his opponent will be lying prone and he's still doing that huge elbow to the back of their head, which is a brutal looking spot. But that's in like the bounds of competition, within the walls of competition, where he's just beat his opponent. And here, there's a fluke, and his opponent is just kind of flukishly hurt. And so I that takes away the competitive part of it for Will Ospreay. It reminds me of, and I don't feel like this is a spoiler, for anybody who's seen the Odyssey. One of the things that Odysseus does when he's hunting is right before he kills an animal, he plucks his bow as almost a warning to the animal to give them, in kind of his thought, a fair shot. It's like, now he's really got to try. The animal's got a chance to get away or attack. And that's kind of what it felt like to me. It's like he plucked his bow, Ospreay that is, and Nick couldn't really respond. So that made a lot of sense to me. And just the construction of the match overall, I thought was really perfectly executed.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better. I think the one thing, again, that just knocks it down a peg from being like an excellent match to like where some people have it to, I would drop it a little bit below. Those 450s was the weirdest thing. Nick Jackson takes that 450 and gets right back up. Just sells nothing and goes into another move. I go, oh, that's such a Buck trope. Whoops. Wrong time to do it. It just, yeah, he just had a kind of a brain fart, I think would be the call there. Outside of that, though, you're right. I think just they are very good storytellers, and we know that they're high spot freaks. But when it comes down to like the itty bitty details, not many tag teams have done it better, at least in this generation, I would say.
The finish felt a little weird, but to me, it also made sense. Mox ended up on his own, taking multiple super kicks because he's, kind of once again pushed away people with his tunnel vision of how things should be done. And, he threw up the double birds and then ate a super kick party.
And before that, Ospreay got crushed with a chair. He's holding a chair, and the Bucks super kicked him simultaneously and pretty much knocked him senseless. So this match went 20 minutes, but definitely had all the makings of a phenomenal match. Nailed it all down to a T, and that of course advanced what we were looking at in the main event.
And should be stated, and I hadn't really given it much thought going into the match, because I mean, we're talking about Jon Moxley and Will Ospreay. Moxley, multi-time world champion, just won the C2, one of the main players of AEW. We're talking about Will Ospreay, who's going into the main event of All In. And I guess it just in the back of my head, it's like, well, they're going to win. They're the bigger players. But of course the Young Bucks had to win. They're going. We knew that the plan was going to be a tag title match at All In with Cope and Cage. So I love the fact that the Bucks won.
I'm with you for sure. And it didn't make either guy, didn't make Moxley look weak whatsoever. He hasn't been eating any pins recently.
Agreed.
So,
yep.
I mean, to lose
that
one
was his
of the
first
best tag
one this
teams
year.
for his period. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to lose to one of the best tag teams in the world, there's definitely no slight there. Let's go back up to the top, and we'll just scroll all the way back down. So we'll end with the women's championship, because that's probably going to be an interesting topic as well. How they opened the show was the 6-man ladder match, which was opened late, just like Tony Khan announced it late with 6. I think you have 5 high flyers and Beast Mortos, basically for a shot at the international championship. And I lost complete focus in this because tropes with all the ladders and the one-on-ones and guys like poking their head in the corner, waiting for their spots, just got to me. I didn't care at all about the high spots. I don't know about you in this one.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I have ladder match fatigue, and it's weird because like all the high spots were executed perfectly. That commander running the ropes to the, gosh, was it a moonsault to the outside through a table? But like, why the fuck aren't you climbing a ladder to try and get the belt? Just it makes everything kind of meaningless. So like, everything was well done. Spots looked incredible, but I just didn't care. Although I was happy to see an obviously very joyful Speedball get the win in his home.
Yeah, I think it's going to kind of tie in. Well, I'll talk about it later because there's a match I want to talk about. Actually, we're talking to be the next one where Bailey's going to fall into this pattern. But then again, this is what's designated for him is jobbing to the guys that are superior in this promotion and that you're going to give stories to.
Yep.
So yeah, there were a lot of highlights in this one, but I mean, if it's you've seen one high spot fest, you've seen them all. So we really don't have to go over, I think, too much in this.
No.
Here was my match of the night. And another match that, I mean, it had sense of it being fantastic, but the way that it was built, and I'm not nervous for, I think I can pretty much stamp Bandito as somebody who's worthy of much, much more, but he's going to continuously fall short because it's not necessarily, maybe it's not the connection. Maybe it's just Tony Khan doesn't see that connection or doesn't display the character as much. But he and Kyle Fletcher for that AEW International Championship, that's the match I just got done watching. Fan flipping tastic, but I'm not surprised. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, these are legit, arguably two of the top 3, maybe 4 wrestlers in the world right now when it comes to just in ring. So it was and they got plenty of time. I believe it was got the most time on the entire card. What hurt it for me is I just didn't think there was any chance Bandito was winning, and the fact that he lost sucks. He's your Ring of Honor World Champion, and he has eaten like 3 or 4 straight AEW pay-per-view losses now in a row. It's like, why is he Ring of Honor World Champion if all he does is just lose on the shows that you have the most eyeballs on? Like, it just kind of kills me. I wish they'd just go back to Brodito, instead of doing this. But I mean, again, just like the main event, these two have incredible chemistry. Holy shit, that frog splash to the outside was just chef's kiss. Perfect. I mean, that looked like it fucking killed Kyle Fletcher. Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I give the slightest of nods for my match of the night to Omega and Knight, just because of the higher stakes, and Kevin Knight feels like he's on a little bit better trajectory right now than Bandito is. And even though I didn't think in a million years Knight was going to win, if I would have had to guess if Knight or Bandito were going to win last night, I would have put the slightest of edge to Knight.
Yeah,
So
either.
It just left a little bit more of a question to me in the main event.
Yeah, I think either way you went, it's like 2% to 1%.
Yeah, exactly. If that.
But I mean, you can insert, Eric, by the way, Spider-Man pointing meme with Bandito and Athena when it comes to this, like needing to drop the ROH title to get a push in AEW. I mean, I've been saying that about Athena. I think we all have on this show. It's ridiculous. And now it's to a point where I think Tony Khan's just installed in us that it's never going to happen. Especially with all the mouths you got to feed at the top. Because we just mentioned the top of the show. Like, who wasn't on the show?
Yeah.
Good grief. And you have to wonder if those guys are going to come back for All In. You would assume that most of them are. So where does that leave a guy like Bandito? But I think to the point you made, Brodito is still getting tag team wins over established teams. So they look strong, I think, but now the tag team division's about to get a bump in the next couple of weeks. Like, where's that going to leave them? Who knows? What do you do? But another tag match that fell after that was the Bang Bang Gang taking on, you give this name looks, I Am the Dogs. there was some ruggedness to it that I enjoyed, but at times it just was super clunky. Jay White getting dumped on his head was a scary thing in this match. So, I mean,
Yeah.
Justin, I think your kind of shrug kind of says it all with this one.
This match fucking sucked. I don't understand, with the history of chain matches. I understand that this wasn't necessarily a dog collar match, but it still involved chains. And you think about FTR and the Briscoes, or Punk and MJF. And these guys have this match with this flimsy looking chain where they're just basically whipping each other the entire fucking time with no blood. I literally spent almost the entire second half of the match Googling blading restrictions in Montreal. Has there ever been blood in Montreal wrestling? Like, I was so confused why we didn't have juice in this match. But I think even if you had the exact same match with blood, it still would have sucked. It's just not a good match. These guys just didn't have it tonight. I'm a fan of a lot of them, but this did not work at all. And this was the beginning of, my God, it's like 2 hours of mediocrity, AEW mediocrity, for a pay-per-view.
There's one bright spot in there we're going to talk about a little bit later, I think. But
Okay.
like Jeremy Feinstein has said a couple of times on my show, Jay White and David Finlay deserve more. Like those two deserve a really good story, and you can connect it with all the stuff that they did in New Japan. And the way that Jay White was reintroduced back into AEW kind of played into this. So, I mean,
do it on Dynamite then, where you can give them more of a spotlight.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. In this case, to our point, that a lot of these matches were TV style matches.
I did see someone else make this point. I do wonder if we didn't see blood in this because a certain somebody maybe used their political weight to make sure that their match was the only one with blood in it.
Get into that soon. Hikaru Shida defended her TBS championship against Maya World on her birthday, no less. Happy birthday, Maya World. Turned 24 yesterday. Your birthday present is the AEW TBS championship. She won in a match that was fine. Another one that I feel should have been suited for TV. And Hikaru Shida has been doing some better character work as a heel lately. And I do feel sorry for her because this is the second reign in a row of hers that has fallen short of 4 weeks. The problem is, yeah, I mean, it just goes to show where she falls in the pecking order. And I mean, there really isn't much more you can do about it. It was just a filler and a cool moment for a young burgeoning performer.
Right Woman won. I did not care for this match. I could not get invested in it. When AEW started, Shida was the woman that really caught my eye. It's like, oh, she could be the one that carries this division for a while. But she has lost a lot of steps. She is not what she once was. Her winning the TBS title really had me scratching my head. My assumption is just a lack of depth in the women's division right now. Yeah, I thought this kind of borderline sucked. It was boring.
Yeah. No, I'm completely in your boat, and that's why we gave the grades from earlier.
Yep.
Speaking of, here's another one. You had Adam Copeland, Christian Cage defeating the Death Riders. So this is their second consecutive match against a Death Riders team, where they defeated Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia on Dynamite a week or two ago. And it was really strange that Pac and Claudio Castagnoli got a title shot when I don't think they've even teamed in the last handful. So kind of WWE-ish, if I say so myself. I mean, is this another one for you that was just there?
Yes, very mediocre. As anybody who listens to the podcast know, I am not really into the Copeland experience in AEW. Love Cage. Yeah, I found myself watching this match, not hating it. Like I thought it was like a decent, like borderline 3-star match. I've just found myself watching it thinking, I really enjoy Pac and Claudio way more than I do the actual AEW tag team champions. I like their aesthetic. I like the way they work together. There's a nice balance to them. It's like, gosh, I just wish they were the world tag team champions. Kind of the same with Brodito. It's like, gosh, I wish they were the tag team champions. So it's just kind of a slog where, again, for like the majority of this card, you kind of knew who was going to win. They did a decent job of building up drama. I liked Cope getting taken out way out into the crowd and eventually making his way back in, but the outcome was never in question. And that's a real issue when you have multiple matches like that in a row that are going to that 15-minute range on a card that is almost 5 hours.
Yeah, absolute wolf in that aspect. And Tony Khan's doing this as a service to Adam Copeland and Christian Cage's careers, I think, from what they've done in the past to give these guys the title run, give them the shine, and then it's going to be taken away from them at All In finally. And obviously there's going to be a brand spanking new direction to move in with that tag team division once it's over.
We hope so.
Yeah. Peter, glad to see you in the chat here. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. Getting Jay White away from the Bang Bang Gang. What are we doing with this stable at this point?
Ooh, I disagree. I like the Bang Bang Gang. It's just they're not really doing anything interesting with him. I like him as the head of that group.
The Guns. I'd like to see them back in the tag division. They're still young. They are former champions. There's time. They just got back from injury too.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Here's the match I probably liked a little bit more than everybody else. Not saying it was a world beater, but it was entertaining. Tommaso Ciampa, Chris Jericho, no holds barred match. And Ciampa entertained the shit out of me in this match. From the Bobby Orr stuff with the Boston, because that's where he's from, with the helmet and the spots, and using the Montreal Canadiens mini mascot as a weapon. This one did go about 5 minutes too long as well. I definitely agree. It overstayed its welcome, but at times I was entertained. I feel these two actually do have some pretty decent chemistry together. And if you are going to throw a match on this card that needs a stipulation, this is definitely it to kind of mask what type of iteration we're getting out of Chris Jericho. What did you think of this match?
Considering my expectations going into it, I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
I was mildly entertained. I don't care for Chris Jericho, and I care even less about the Painmaker. That is just very corny to me in today's AEW. I do enjoy Ciampa. Couldn't give a shit less about the hockey stuff. I'm not a hockey guy. Don't care about the stuffed animal that was worked into the match multiple times. A lot of it came off as pretty hokey to me. It felt like something you would have seen outside of the blood in WWE.
The mirrors. Yeah, I'm with that. I didn't mind the hockey puck spots. I mean, again, that's just me being an NHL fan. So this match, in a sense, kind of catered to me in a way. And it's the only way that I could watch a somewhat entertaining Chris Jericho match in 2026.
I will say I morbidly kind of want to rewatch it because I think for sure Chris Jericho just stuck thumbtacks to his head, because they had the spot where like Ciampa pulled out the pucks and he rubbed it on Jericho's head. Then he like just kind of wiped some of his blood onto Jericho's forehead. But in that moment, Jericho did not have any thumbtacks stuck to his forehead. And the next time you saw him, he had thumbtacks. So he just did that for a fun visual, fun, quote unquote.
And I thought it was a kind of cool way to end the match too, with Jericho threatening to use the power drill, and Ciampa's just like, I don't want to get lobotomized. Get me out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I wish they shouldn't have shown the drill so closely, because you could see how much they doled the end of it to where it was just basically a ball. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I wish Ciampa all the best. I've enjoyed his AEW run.
Yeah, 100%. And unfortunately, I think he's slotted into where he's supposed to be here from here on out.
I'm kind of scared what kind of air Jericho is going to occupy going forward, because I guess I like the Ciampa feud just because if he's going to be on my TV all the time, like this felt like a good use of Jericho against Ciampa. But like going forward, like what the fuck is he going to do at All In? I'm just a little concerned about that.
Hopefully not on the card at all.
He will be.
Oh, I mean, he came back against Ricochet, another guy. It's just like, Ricochet got the win at first, and Jericho evened it up. So,
seen a pattern.
Yeah, you really are. So, who's next in that pattern? Hopefully, it's somebody that we don't like. Andrade defeated Mark Davis to win the AEW National Championship, and two guys that work very hard. I like both their styles. Another match that just kind of felt like it was there. And for a guy who's wanting to chase AEW World Title, has been very adamant about it. His consolation prize at this point is to be the national champion. What'd you think overall here?
Yeah, considering how much, to your point, he's been talking about the world title, it felt a little bit like a consolation prize for him to be this excited to win a title that's been in existence for less than a year and is kind of being hot potatoed around. I liked, because didn't he get the big elbow right at the beginning of the match and I thought it was over? I would have fucking loved that if that was the match.
That's exactly where I was going.
We kind of need that on a show like this, and then they just continue to have your kind of typical AEW television match, I would say, because this didn't feel like this wasn't special to me by any means. You know, 3.25, something like that. Again, like a lot of these matches in the middle of this show, felt like it overstayed its welcome. But I'm happy for Andrade, and I'm keeping an eye on that hair because it's a lot of sweat compared to everybody else on this show, and I appreciate that.
It would have been brilliant to end that match in 10 seconds because it would have caught Mark Davis completely off guard, and he can call fluke, and they could go out and have a rematch and crush it.
Oh, great call in the comments.
Yeah, it is. Eric, shout out to you on this one because we're 2 weeks away, which, by the way, that's where Speedball Mike Bailey's going to get his international title shot against Kyle Fletcher is in Grand Slam, Mexico. So they're going to put Andrade, give him some gold going into that show. I think, that'll be a fun night if it's anything like it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
Mystico and the music and Hangman Page delivering a promo in Spanish. Had me at hello.
Hell yeah.
Or you had me at hola, one way or another. Before we get to the women's match that I want to talk about, let's talk about that cringeworthy backstage segment.
What the fuck was that, Jesse?
Divine Dominion, that's Megan Bayne and Lena Cross, were interviewed by Mick Foley for about 2 minutes. They basically threatened him, told him to sit down in a chair while they, just went over all their accolades and all this stuff and who's next. And Mick Foley
started barking.
Yeah, like almost sarcastically pretending to Snoop Dogg in monotone.
Yeah, that was very cringy and embarrassing and didn't work. And I'm not saying I want Foley to go away. I mean, keep trying stuff with him, but this one didn't work.
It was a really awkward segment, and we're finally going to get those two women in a pretty high-profile match, I'm assuming it All In, taking on Alex Windsor and Jamie Hayter. Some worthy competition. But
I will say I liked that in the show. I think they did it 3 times where after a match was done and you kind of knew where the direction was going, they showed the All In, what would you call it? Screenshot. Graphics. Thank you. They did that with the tag title match, the world title match, and I believe with the match we're about to come to.
Yeah, the Young Bucks came out after that Cope and Christian match confronted them, and that's when they showed the graphic for All In, as that will be for now, an AEW World Tag Team title match between 2 teams. We don't know where this one's going to go.
What's your preference? Keep it that way or add teams?
Keep it that way.
Same.
Yeah, you don't want to interject it right away. I think it's actually a really good... do you think it'd be a good spot at the end of the match to have Kofi and Woods come out? Or have them do it before? Or when do you pull that card?
I'm wondering if you have FTR during the match come out to try and interfere, and that's how New Day comes out to stop them, maybe, then you have like you can build to another match with Cope and Cage and the Young Bucks while you also have the New Day and FTR feud. I will say, as much as I want it to be Young Bucks versus Cope and Cage, just a clean tag title match, I'd be shocked if that's what it ends up being, that FTR isn't involved.
I agree. I completely agree. And a team that I don't want involved that will likely be debuting on Wednesday night is the Motor City Machine Guns. They're not worthy of that spot whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm good on that. I don't mind them being in the tag division, but
me neither.
They don't need to be in that kind of a high profile match.
No, not
right now. Anyways.
Let's get to it. Willow Nightingale, the challenger for the AEW Women's World Title, takes on Tekla in a pretty physical confrontation that at times was fine, and just the way that it ended abruptly, with Willow getting the scoop pin, avoiding the stomp from Tekla after a spear, using a backslide to win and become the new Women's World Champion. I have mixed feelings on it. I had an inkling this was going to happen. It's a matter of Tekla. I think now that Julia Hart, and Sky Blue are trios champions in Stardom, Julia's going to be participating in the Grand Prix. I think they want to use Tekla more in that promotion. But before we get there, what'd you think of the match? And with Mercedes watching in the box.
I think both women put on a good performance, but the match was really hurt by a weird finish, to your point. Like, you're building to this big Willow Nightingale Mercedes Moné match at All In, and she gets what looks to be a kind of like a fluke win against Tekla. That was weird, but more so than that, it was a dead crowd that truly hurt this match. And maybe that was just my TV, but to me, it didn't sound like the crowd was into this match at all. And I just remember feeling when Willow won that she deserved a better response.
She was poised to win the Owen Hart tournament, got hurt, got replaced. I believe Mercedes might have replaced her. I think so.
I think that's right.
So there's a few replacements in that tournament. And Willow was slated to win the title at All In. But instead, she got healthy just enough with her shoulder and such to get inserted in this slot. It was kind of an ice-cold way to put her into that casino gauntlet, and then 2 weeks later have a match, have her cut a couple of promos with the conglomeration. And this is how she wins the title. So you get Willow and Mercedes, which was also rumored to be the feud after All In. You're just going to rush it another month in advance. And it also kind of brings the question of transitional champions. With Kenny winning that championship at Beach Break, likely being a placeholder for Ospreay, is Willow going to do the same thing when in reality this is not something she deserves? She probably should have a lengthier run.
I think you're right. I think this is going to be a short run, unfortunately. I couldn't help but think, but like while watching the match, and thinking about All In, it's like, what's the biggest women's match you could have with the highest potential? And it's like, God, I think it would have been Mercedes and Tekla. If you would have brought Mercedes back as a babyface, I know she's better as a heel, but fuck, just give her a short babyface run. You can turn her right back to heel as soon as she wins the world title. The next Dynamite after All In. But yeah, something just felt off about all of this, and I just feel bad because of the reaction for Willow sucked. And to your point, she's probably just going to be a transitional champion here. Although I don't know. Like, is that a little too obvious that both your main world champions are going to have these tiny little reigns?
I told patron of the show, Tim Jensen, that Willow Nightingale is going to retain the title at All In. I have a weird hunch. even though Mercedes is definitely the one you want carrying this division, especially at this exact point in time. If you're going to take the belt away from Tekla and move her over to Japan for a few months, but that's almost too obvious.
Willow
But
winning at All In would be the truly crowning moment of her as world champion. Because like as of right now, she just kind of feels like a second thought.
it's such a disappointment. And in a way, that's kind of what they did with Maya World. I would have loved to have seen with somebody with her experience or lack thereof go to ROH, defeat Athena. That's just like the biggest staple in your possible cap, and move Athena to the main roster.
Yeah. Well, they had to have Athena break Roman Reigns' record. So hopefully they can move on from that.
Mission accomplished. So that was every single match on the card that we both graded a little bit lower than normal for an AEW show. I mean, it's been a while since they've had a pay-per-view like this, but there were definitely some bright spots on this show.
Yeah, it just goes to show how incredible of a run AEW has been with their pay-per-views, that you get a show with like I already said a million times, 2 above 4-star matches, another one that I consider around 4 stars. And we're giving it C's. Are you going to waterboard me now, Jesse, with a little bit of WWE talk?
In a moment. And it's
Okay.
going to be really, really fast. I don't really have much to say on it right now. In the corner of the screen there, I put up the topropnation.com/Discord logo. There is commentary, conversation in there on a daily basis. Many things that we talk about. There's a live
Not just wrestling.
chat. When things happen. Justin will liven the movie chat up quite a bit.
Oh,
yeah.
I just watched Obsession the other night. Fucking incredible. It's on Peacock right now. Highly recommend it.
This is good to know. I am looking forward to, because I have not seen Odyssey. I will at some point. I'm a Marvel guy. Spider-Man is out this weekend. I will be seeing it Monday.
I'm looking forward to Spider-Man way more than I am Doomsday.
Might have to have a topic about that off air.
I thought that trailer didn't look very good.
The hard part is Robert Downey Jr. playing a villain when he's been Iron Man for the last decade.
For me, it was coming off of the Odyssey with all the practical special effects, and then just seeing this kind of gray CGI, typical, like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little worried about that movie.
We'll see. Spider-Man, all of those Spider-Man movies have delivered.
That looks good. Yep, agree with that.
It's likely going to do it again. All right, one more quick thing. Again, patreon.com/TopRopeNation, again, is where you can find us and support us. Only $5 a month. You can also subscribe to our YouTube Plus channel. I know a handful of people have done that. That is $2.99. Very simple. You can watch all of our videos, including our classics reviews. We got a little bit nutty for King of the Ring 1998. It was the Gin and Tonics talking. And and reviewing what was an interesting show, to say the least, but basically a 1.5 match card.
Yeah.
But yeah, that 1.5, highly memorable.
Boy.
Super glad that we finally took care of that. This might take me a minute. Just struck 59, so here we go. WWE SummerSlam is here in the Twin Cities this weekend. I have very little interest in purchasing a ticket. I might look for the dirt cheapest tickets, or find somebody I know to connect me with it for Saturday night, just because Obafemi and Brock Lesnar are in the bottom, with CM Punk and Cody Rhodes in the main. That's Saturday. Sunday, there's minimal interest there for me. I know Chad Gable will get an Intercontinental title, probably win over Penta, and Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins does absolutely nothing for me to close the entire weekend out. There, that was 40 seconds.
I could have sworn I saw on somewhere on my social medias that Oba and Brock were going to main event. That's not the case?
Maybe it is. I don't know. I went to my trusty cage match, which they're usually pretty accurate when it comes to where cards are. And it showed both of those matches on Saturday night, which made me very happy, because I was like, all right, if there's that shot, I go out and see it. I'd want those two matches in the same card. It just so happens that's where they are. So
Sorry, I got distracted by supposedly DeMar DeRozan signed with the Sixers. I don't think that's true, so don't quote me on that.
that is strange.
That is not a reliable source.
Jeez.
Not a reliable source, but yeesh.
Well, we could have NBA talking about a month and a half. There's going to be a lot of jeez. What a weird year that's going to be. I know. Lots of comings and goings in the NBA, and I'm just the Wolves were the 5th destination for LeBron James. Congratulations. Yes, at least you made the list. So there is the potential, by the way. Tomorrow is the 10-year anniversary of Top Rope Nation. There's the potential that Ryan will get on the air with one of us to talk about moments. But I think one thing is clear, like if I just so happen I don't make it because I'm not available at night, Justin's not available during the day, I will send my thoughts out I'll send them to the Discord, or I'll send them to Ryan and Justin themselves and let them play them for you on the air. But we'll figure it out as we go. Because there's some happenings going on here in TRN land that we'll be discussing with you in the future one way or the next, because the show is not the same without our fearless leader, Ryan Drosty.
That is 1,000% correct.
So, Justin, we held the fort down and went over an hour. I'm sorry.
Perfect timing. That tequila is really kicking in right now.
And with that being said, what a great way to go out. For Justin Joint, my name is Jesse Velasquez. That has been episode 422 of Top Rope Nation. Take care, everybody. We will see you very, very soon.
Peace.